Hi, everybody. We had a lot of glitches today. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we can't let this all make us crazy. I know I sort of had a little emotional breakdown because I was so upset because I feel like I disappointed you. And I know there were about 7 people who signed up to participate. And I really wish I could have had you all here with me. I love having everybody in this space and feeling that energy really makes the meeting super special. But I wanted to be able to hop on anyway and just give you the content that I had promised. And what I'm hoping for is that we could have a dialogue in the comments underneath the video and that you could share your thoughts and your feelings. Um, anyway, I had posted that I was going to be talking about chapter 8, and chapter 8's about letting go of judgment and instead considering this. And I guess the reason why I titled it that is because I felt so much of my life has been spent on trying to deflect judgment, on trying to sort of just not make it stick. I always wanted to feel like I was sort of like Teflon, and it just would slide right off of me. But no matter how much Teflon I imagined around myself, the zings kept on getting to me. And with it went my personal understanding of my value and my worth. And instead of understanding that I had value and worth just from being me, I sort of attached it to things. I attached it to me being the kind of person who was agreeable, me being the kind of person who was a people pleaser, me being a fixer, me being the good girl in my house, even though probably if you ask my parents, especially during my teenage years, I really wasn't such a good girl according to them. I probably was rebellious in all the things. Didn't know it then, but that's what I was supposed to be doing. Um, and all those feelings that you have when you're a teenager and you sort of feel displaced and not understood and were normal. But I sort of felt them I felt that they were stronger for me because I felt such a disconnect between my stepmother and myself, and also not really understanding my whole situation. I feel like a lot of teenagers go through that. Even if they have their mom and their dad living with them, they go through that period where they sort of feel this disconnect. And it's this awareness of actually becoming an adult that sort of makes you feel disconnected from the people that you live with, your family, and make you feel like there's a disconnect between actually who you actually are, who you align with, what you want to be, and then what your parents are and how they represent themselves. Um, I feel like what I really wanted to do in this chapter is I really wanted to understand what judgment was trying to teach me. Because I really feel like all these things happen in our lives and they come up and they show up because they're teachers. And I remember there was one particular time I was talking to my mentor and I asked her, like, actually, what is judgment trying to show me? What is it trying to teach me? And she said, what do you think? What do you think you're meant to learn from judgment? And I sort of thought about it and I realized that I just didn't know. And she said, well, you married a lawyer. So you sort of married a person who really is a judge. And I thought, how funny is that? That I sought that out. And I asked myself, what is judgment trying to teach me? What is this trying to actually say to me? And am I letting the opinions of other people shape who I am and shape what I think and what I believe? And I really was the kind of person who was trying to avoid making decisions, avoid making statements about what I thought, because I really was trying to avoid confrontation. But I also was trying to avoid failure. And I don't think you actually can live in life unless if you have failure, like today's book club meeting. Failure, fail, all on me. Whether it was the internet or was technology or whatever, in the end of the day, it was all about me failing. And then coming here and showing up and trying to provide content, even though I disappointed the people who signed up to join me in this meeting. I feel like when you understand that judgment is really here to actually shape the path at which you go in, you're taking it as a hit to your ego. But when you look at judgment in a detached way and you sort of looking at it as a guide of what it's actually trying to teach you not to do or what it's trying to teach you to pay attention to, then your ego doesn't get crushed every time you do something. I really feel like ego and judgment sort of go hand in hand. I feel like they are the integral parts of our own personal development. I feel like the understanding and knowledge that you need to detach from your ego and sort of see things from a distance to be able to understand why things are showing up in your direction is the lesson. It is the lesson. And I feel like it's a hard one. It's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard lesson to stretch into. And so, like I've said many times before, sometimes when things are difficult, you need to do a rerun, which means you get that same lesson over and over and over again until you go, oh, I see. And then that lesson sort of stops because now you can see it and you can understand how it showed up in your life to actually improve your life, not to knock you down. But I think I was so used to feeling as though I was knocked down that I actually couldn't see it as a teacher. So I'm here to tell you that actually judgment isn't the lesson. The lesson is the detachment from judgment, from your ego, and seeing it as it is, and understanding that that judgment isn't really a direct hit to you and what you stand for and your value and your worth, that those things are separate from the actual actions that you take. I think it's hard because we were all brought up with the same thing, you know, the gold star for the spelling test, the circle around the 100 when you got it right, the A that we all got in school. And then when we got out of school and we got out of college and grad school and all the things that we did educationally, right? How were we judged? We were judged by our peers in the workplace, whether or not they liked our work. If you worked with people like me, how they did, how they responded to the therapy that you were doing. And I know in a lot of companies, they have checklists and goals and all the things, you know, just like if you were in school to tell you how you're doing. But they're not really talking about you and your value. They're really talking about skills. And skills and value and worth really aren't the same thing. Whether or not you really are skilled at Adobe Workshop or skilled at, I don't know, some file that you managed to organize. That's one thing. But it doesn't seem to be the same as saying that you, at who you actually are, the person that you are inside, can be judged as being valuable based on the actions of you as a human. I mean, can you imagine that? If somebody actually said, well, here you go, here's a recording and a report card of you as a human, and I'm just going to check it off and I'm just going to tell you how you're doing as a human. I never got one of those, did you? But we look at all the things that people say about us, right, as though they were the report card about actually our internal value, our worth as a person. And I think the only one that really gets to do that is us, really. And truthfully, I think we're too hard on ourselves. I think that we are hypercritical about our value, about our worth, and we really attach it to things that we do. For me, I was attaching it to not showing up for you today on this book club. Oh my God, they're going to think that I forgot them. Oh my God, they're going to think that you can't count on me. But really, it was a technical glitch. It really wasn't about me, Robin, personal. It was about all the other things that are out in the universe. So even all of us are a subject to this harsh judgment that we place on ourselves. And the truth is, when I stopped for a minute and I looked at that and I reflected after I freaked out because I lost all the people who were supposed to come to this meeting because of a technical thing, I realized that the most important thing was for me to show up and share the content. The most important thing was for me to share what I believe to be true, what I know to be true. And so here I am doing that. What I want to read to you is this thing that I write in my book. And it's a part that I write at the end of the chapter after the affirmation and the inspiration. And it's something to consider. And I say it like that because it's just something that I really want you to think about. It's not a hard, fast rule. It's not really even like wisdom. It's just something for you to think about. So I'm going to read you what I wrote in my book. We have to notice before we can change that once you remove judgment, you can have the freedom to create. The world has become a very big place, and there are so many things to choose from. When doubt comes pouring in, when you are asking to make decisions, the person we blame many times is ourselves. We engage in what I call the shoulda, woulda, coulda dance. And there are always choices to be made, and nothing feels worse than casting judgment on yourself and feeling stuck. Fear of choosing the wrong choice gets people stuck. Not trying something because you don't know how it's going to turn out gets people stuck. Not trying something new because of the fear of what it might be like, taste like, feel like, gets people stuck. And we allow ourselves to do the same things over and over again because we are afraid to try the new. If we can allow ourselves the ability to not be perfect, to not always expect ourselves to get it right, that we just try, that's all. Then we don't have to be an expert, right? Then we don't always have to get it right. How can we expect to be an expert in something before you even try it? How could you? Always being in control and feeling as though we need to have all the answers as parents, as wives, as daughters, as sisters, as friends is exhausting. And the universe has so much information for us to gain every day in every moment. We create so much inner pressure on ourselves to achieve something. It's really ludicrous. I am a perfect example of that. Look what happened to me today. One of the biggest dream stoppers is worrying about how. How will I do it? I have talked about this a lot in many groups, in front of many audiences, and it is a dream crusher. When you start to think about the how, you really need to be focused on how come I want to talk about this? Why is this so important to me? No one can be exceptional at everything, nor should we. And the question you actually want to know is, what do I actually need for support to make what I want to make happen? And sometimes you don't even know the answer to that question. Sometimes you try and then you realize, oh, what I really needed help was with this. What I really needed help was with that. And you don't actually have all the answers until you've tried and failed. But the failing, that's the part that's sticky. That's the part that sticks in our craw, because we feel that when we fail, it is a sign of our inadequacy. It is a sign of everything that is the opposite of what is perfect. And we feel that when we come out into the world and when we show ourselves to the world, that we actually need to represent ourselves as perfect. And you know something, when you think about people that you admire, mentors that you admire, think about it for a second. Think of a person and think to yourself, are they perfect? Had they ever made a mistake? Had they ever overcome something? For me, the people that I admire are people who have overcome things, people who have moved from this to that. Everybody has something that they have to shift from, move from, learn from, let go of, right? When somebody comes on and they're always so perfect and always so shiny, I start to question, is this real? Because how could it be real? How could somebody always get it right, always be perfect? I have a lot more respect for people that are imperfect some of the time, but they're honest and they're loyal and they're trustworthy. I think those are the people that I tend to gravitate to because I know that they're for real. And so when you are putting yourself out there in the world to your friends, to your family, to your sister, brother, child, lover, whoever, don't try for perfect. Just be yourself and understand that the value that you bring by being that is worth everything. Because the truth is, it's the imperfections that make us human. It is the imperfections that make us endearing. It is the imperfections we see in other people that allow us to have compassion and love for each other, because we see ourselves in other people. We admire what they have, and then we see it within ourselves. So I say, be a little bit more endearing to yourself. Have a little more compassion for yourself. Create the energy around you that you actually want to attract. Allow your heart to be full of love and compassion for you. And I want to give you the permission to allow yourself and to step into who you believe you deserve to be. Who you deserve to be. That is the most important thing. Who do you deserve to be? And can you allow yourself to have that? Thanks so much for listening today to the second book club. And I hope that the third one is a little bit more successful with the link. But please, please leave me comments below this video so that I can comment back and we can have a conversation. That's my favorite part about book club. It's the conversation. Take care. Bye.